Ryan, Tyler, thank you guys so much for joining us today. Especially thanks for joining us directly after the hurricane just
Yeah.
rampaged right where you guys are at. How you doing after that thing?
Good, good. It
Good.
feels good to be here, Trevor. Thanks for having us. This is awesome.
Yeah, we're super excited to be here at EcomCon.
Absolutely, guys. So I'm excited to chat with you. It's interesting because we've got over 100 people on this. And as I interview and chat with and listen to the presentations of many, most people had kind of a gradual start after college. They did one thing to another. And your story follows a similar path, but it's highly condensed because it's not that
Yeah.
you waited going through the corporate world, et cetera. You kind of, while in the midst of being a student, launched your enterprise. And so we're super excited to hear about that. But before we jump into, what you have prepared, tell us about your story. What happened to go from, zero as a child in your
Yeah.
household to hero college or student in college?
Good.
Yeah. So my name is Tyler Martin. I'm from Miami. I'm a student here at Florida State. We both are. And I didn't really do much for business until I met Ryan. Ryan has been a business guy for his whole life, and he can tell you a little bit about that. But as we continue to talk, we're going to get into more of our story. But we started out doing garage sales, just little flips for just money to do stuff in college because we were broke. And one thing led to another, and now we both have seven-figure e-commerce stores. So it's kind of crazy.
Did you start with like your parents being entrepreneurs or business people or anything, or did they have the regular 9-to-5 corporate?
Both my parents work for the government. My dad is a fireman and my mom is a judge. And so
Wow.
none of them had done anything business wise. And they thought it was crazy at first, but now they love it and they're as into it as I am. But Ryan?
Steph, how about you, Ryan?
So, and one thing I will say about Tyler is he's an incredible researcher and he reads like none other. I mean, we started going on garage sales and selling stuff on eBay, and he was like reading these books and he's like, dude, you got to read this book. And I'm like, I'm not a reader. Like, I'm not a researcher. So I started reading more and more because of that. So that's kind of, I think, what's helped him a lot is reading books, because, reading's unbelievable. But me personally, I like to believe it all started when I was 7. I went to a private school in Orlando, and we had a annual fundraiser, and we sold wrapping paper, Sally Foster wrapping paper. And I had this cute little face, what happened, right? But I had this cute little face. I was going door to door, and I actually sold in a month. I sold $1,000 worth of wrapping paper at 7 years old. $1,000. I won the contest for the school. I got like an iPod, and I got to like go in a limo to like downtown Disney and like all this cool stuff. But that's where I like to think that it started. And that was like my first being a salesman, started like selling. And then from there, I sold stuff on eBay and went to garage sales, and me and my dad and my grandfather is an entrepreneur as well. He's written a bunch of books and sold a company for a few million and all that stuff. So it's been in my family kind of. And then, I went into college, and then I actually had no idea what I was going to do. And Tyler and I were like, right across the hall from each other in the same dorm. And
so freshman year, we lived right across from each other. We met up one way or another throughout the year, and we started talking and became pretty good friends. And I found out the summer before he made a couple $1,000 going to garage sales and then flipping stuff on eBay. So we decided we'd go out on Saturdays here at Florida State and test it out. We started making some money, went back over summer, made a bunch of money that summer doing the same thing. We got on Craigslist as well and started going into retail stores like a Marshall's. And we were just going crazy with all this flipping stuff. And
that's kind of where where it started for us. And then we just,
it was just kind of like, all right, so I'm doing this, but I want to sell more. How do I sell more? And then it was, I can get all this stuff from China for how much? Holy cow, I'm going to get that over. And then, one thing led to another. And here we are today.
Yeah.
That's awesome, guys. Well, I'm going to pull my video back, and with your permission, from time to time, I might pop in with some questions that I think might be of interest to the audience. But yeah, we're excited for this, guys. Thank you. I'm going to pull this now, and we'll go forward.
Awesome. So guys, our goal for this is that you guys can leave, and the first Saturday after EcomCon, you guys can go to a garage sale and feel comfortable going and buying and flipping your first thing. This whole video is about, for those people starting out who might not have capital to start your own business, how to make that first dollar. And so that's what we want to talk about. And we want to make sure that after this, you guys are comfortable going and actually doing it and going to a garage sale and making some sales, flipping stuff on eBay. Because once you're in it, it's a mindset switch and everything's uphill.
And so this is, we're going to start with garage sales. We're going to go into retail stores and Craigslist and how we can utilize, other sites and other resources. But keep in mind, this is not just for people domestically in the United States or in Canada, whatever it may be. This is for international. You can go anywhere and do this. I mean, we went on Facebook groups and found people selling things and negotiated with them there, and then still sold on eBay. So you can do this from anywhere.
Yeah. And it's also fun. That's the other thing. We still go out Saturdays when we're not busy, and we just do it for fun. It's not necessarily, it's not for money.
There's some great value at garage sales. You can find some good stuff.
It's
seriously.
True. It's 100%.
You really can.
But anyway, to get started with garage sales, which is the most beginner step to this, the way we see it is, first you go to garage sales every Saturday. Next, you start doing Craigslist and apps like OfferUp, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And that way you can do it every day. And then the third step is, once you saturate that, the Craigslist and OfferUp market, you can go into a Marshall's or a Goodwill or TJ Maxx, places like those. And margins are a little bit lower, but you get this consistent way to churn out some sales so you can make capital.
And you can do all three of those at the same time as well.
Yeah.
Because the margins are huge with garage sales. You can buy some for $5 and sell it for 50 or 100. I've done it several times. You can do them all at the same time. But just to, kind of reiterate on this, we're going to kind of start with garage sales, but go into some other things. But at the end of the day, guys, it's all about getting out there and doing it. And actually, that's what all these speakers are going to tell you. There's some great speakers here. Yeah. They're all going to tell you the same thing. It's all about getting out there and doing it. And once you take that first step, that's where, you get to wherever you want to go.
Exactly. So, and with the garage selling thing, the first step is, how do you find these garage sales, right? So there are a couple ways to do it. Ryan and I use an app called
G-Sailor.
G-Sailor.
GSALR. You can also use Craigslist, Facebook pages, the newspaper. I don't know if anyone reads a newspaper anymore, but there's several different ways to actually find garage sales. And by garage sales, it's garage sales, yard sales, estate sales, just sales where people are selling their stuff and trying to get rid of it so that you can go in and buy low, turn around and sell high. So that's some ways we use to find things. We use a lot of apps, but you can also use websites.
Exactly. And now, we're not sure how it works overseas for overseas listeners, but we know in the United States there are garage sales everywhere. So in the United States, that's a perfect plan. If you're overseas, just try to think of a comparison, right? So is there discount stores you can go to where you can just buy low, sell high? That's basically that's just what this is. It's just finding a unique way to buy low so that you can go ahead and sell it at a regular retail price.
So like flea markets overseas.
Exactly. So overseas, It might be flea markets. And so now that you know where these garage sales are, the next thing is, how do you know what to sell at these garage sales? And you're going to get better with time. In the beginning, you're not really going to know what's going on. But one way to start learning, and this is an incredible tool, the eBay app on your phone.
One of the first things you want to do is you get the eBay app. Yeah. And once you get the eBay app, you want to make an account. And essentially what we do, just to break it down really easy, is we go to these garage sales, we'll be standing in someone's driveway with the eBay app open on our smartphone. It's really awesome to have a smartphone. If you don't have a smartphone, you can look it up at home after and go back or whatever it may be. Yeah. But it's best to have a smartphone, and you can actually go on the eBay app and look up items as you're walking around the garage sale. And know exactly what they sell for by going in and filtering by completed listings and seeing, in the green there, what's selling and for what price. So that's where
Yeah, so actually explain that, because I remember that was hard for me to find when I first started. but how to
So what you have to do is you have to have an account, and when you log in on your app or on the browser on your phone, you log in, and then you have to actually click in the top right corner. It'll say filter, and then it'll come up, and you'll have to actually click on the one that says completed listings. You click out of that, and it'll come up. Some will be green and some will be red. The ones in green are the ones that sold. And so you want to take the average of the ones that sold, and that's going to be around where you know what you can get for it, and then know that you can definitely sell it just a little bit under that. So if it's $50 on average, know that you can sell it for 40 to 45 to try to start to scale out your margins.
Yeah. So when you first get there, just look for things that catch your eye, right? So it's just going to be intuition at that point. Pick up that item, whatever looks like somebody might want to buy it. Like
it's important that you pick it up, because if you don't pick it up, I promise you it will not be there when you turn around. It happens every time.
So yeah, pick up the item and then look it up on your phone. How Ryan was describing. If there are a bunch of green listings, then you know it sells often, and you can also see the price. So you'll get an idea, okay, if I bought this item, how much can I sell it for? And how fast will this thing actually sell? And then you can make a decision, is this product worth buying? How much can I buy it for? And these are all things that you're going to learn through time. But that eBay app is incredible, and it's an amazing product research tool when you're going out in garage sales.
And there's also two ways to garage sale. And we say garage sailing as kind of a verb. Sometimes we made it up somewhat just because we did it so often. Oh, let's go garage sale. But when you go garage selling, there's two ways to garage sale: personal, business. Do not mix the two, because if you find a video game that you like and you're like, oh, you know what? It's $10. I'm not even going to look it up on eBay. You look it up and the margin's a little bit close, but you're going to sell it. It doesn't really matter if you like it or not, because you're going to turn around and sell it. So just be aware of that there are two different kinds of garage sailing. Yeah.
And then some negotiating tricks. My favorite thing to do is bundle stuff together. I get great deals like that. So what that means is just if there's one item you really like and a couple that you think you make a couple bucks on, bundle them all together and ask for a steep discount. And a lot of the times you'll get it. Because at garage sales, in my experience, it seems like people are having these garage sales to get rid of stuff.
Not to make money, to get rid of things.
Yeah, their primary motive is to get rid of stuff. They want money in return. But if you can help them get rid of stuff, you're doing them a service, they'll give it to you for cheaper.
And always make sure you negotiate, because the only reason you don't negotiate, the only reason is if an item's $5, you know you can sell it for 50, 75, 100, and the margin's huge and you just want to buy it because you know right then and there.
Yeah.
And otherwise, there's no reason not to go, even if it says $10 on it, there's no reason to go up and say, hey, how much is this? And, they may say 10, they may say, oh, I'll give it to you for 8. Well, if they say, I'll give it to you for 8, then you could say, oh, well, I only have 5, or I'll give you 5, or whatever. And you automatically just took it down a little bit more, thus increasing your margin right then and there.
Yeah. And so after you've been doing garage sales for a little bit, you get the hang of it, which you will. Then or at least in our case, we got an itch to do more. We weren't satisfied with just the 1 day a week, and sometimes 2. Sometimes they have them Sunday as well. But we weren't satisfied with that. So what we started doing is we used apps like OfferUp.
And Let Go. There's Let Go's another app. Facebook pages with like free and for sale, or like yard Orlando yard sale is one I have in Orlando.
Yeah, and then Craigslist as well, just your local Craigslist. I don't know.
Well, no, it's just you create local Craigslist.
Local Craigslist. And what you do there is you can look for higher priced items there. It's a little bit, when you go to Craigslist, one, you can do it every day. Which is awesome. There's also a lot more products, but a lot more competition as well. There are going to be more people trying to buy things up. But the cool thing about it is you have so much more time to do product research behind the scenes. So if you see an iPod, somebody selling a used iPod Classic, you can go in on eBay, do your research, really get your numbers right, and know exactly how much you're willing to pay for it, and go and start negotiating with these people. And Craigslist is where I made most of my money in the garage sale world. Craigslist is where I made most of my money, which I then turned and created other businesses with.
So there's a little bit less risk as well, because in garage selling, when you're at a garage sale, you have your phone out, it's all very impulsive, and you have a much larger margin typically, and much lower risk. With this, you have so much research. You can show up to their house and say, yeah, I'd like to test this out and see if it works and everything. At a garage sale, you're outside. It's just not the same.
Yeah.
So there's, there's a little bit lower risk, but higher volume as well, because there's so many different items you can look for there.
Yeah, and I would say I had most success going for higher priced electronics on Craigslist. Now, your niche should be whatever makes you money. It was just, in my case, that's what made me money. Appliances are good as well. Just think things with a big price tag that somebody might be wanting to get rid of or just get a couple bucks. $50 is a good amount of money to some people. So for example, I got an old iPod Classic for like $50. I turned around and sold it for like $150.
Just to be aware though, if we're talking about Craigslist here, guys, please be careful.
Yeah.
I have had an experience, he's had experience where either the person's not telling the truth or it's sketchy, not good news. So just be careful as well. Not everybody out there is always.
Yeah, double check, make sure the product that they say that they have for you is actually that same product. So do research on fakes. I've only had that happen to me once and I caught them. It was fake Beats. And then the other thing is just make sure it's the same model. I one time bought a smaller version of this large speaker. I ended up not losing any money on it, but I thought I was going to make a whole lot more. So just something to keep in mind is be careful. Craigslist is amazing though for this type of thing. You can do it every day and there's a lot more money on the table here. So just keep that in mind.
So that's another tool. And it's something you can scale a little bit more than garage selling, because garage selling is one day and there's only so many things and you may not find stuff you like, whatever. But there's a little bit more scaling. You can do it both at the same time as well. But this one is the one that I think is super interesting to people. And that's actually retail stores.
Yeah.
We do actually go into stores, buy things and flip them on eBay.
Yeah.
And I've heard some other people doing it. I don't know how popular it is out there for people, hearing about this kind of thing. But I know for me, I've gone to like Goodwill, for instance. I saw there was a time period where bodybuilder.com was donating like thousands of pounds to Goodwill. They were just donating it. And Goodwill, of course, the workers there have no clue what it is. And so pricing it at $2, $5, protein bars, like boxes, or like they had like tubs of like 5 pounds of protein. I paid like $10 for, selling for like 60 on eBay. I made a killing that way.
Yeah. So what was most mind blowing to me was that these stores were selling it at a price that I could actually turn around and sell it for a profit on. One of my bigger winners for retail stores is I went into a Marshall's. I found a bunch of compression shorts, Under Armour compression shorts. They were selling for like $9, $8, something like that. Looked them up on eBay and found out they were selling for like 25. So I bought every single pair that they had at the store and brought it back to my house, listed it, and I sold them within like 2 weeks, which at the time was good money. And the other thing that's awesome about this is if it doesn't sell, you can just go return it. So there's that.
Because they are stores. Now, Goodwill, you can't actually do that.
Okay.
Thrift stores, maybe not, but with the Marshalls and the Rosses, and that you can take it back. So it's like low risk, almost no risk, except for your time.
But it was definitely mind-blowing to learn that the stores were selling it low enough that I could actually take it, flip it, and make a profit off it. Now, all this made me thousands of dollars over a single summer and even more before that. But what that did is it led me and Ryan into some new businesses where we're like, all right, let's just do this on a bigger scale. And what we tried doing is building brands, private labeling.
Now, to the point before private labeling, at this point, trying any of these methods, you're going to have enough money if you didn't have anything before to make your first few dollars in e-commerce selling through eBay to build your own e-commerce dropshipping businesses, which we'll talk about. But this is kind of where we went with it. And we've, had success, but also found a big problem that we solved, later on in the story. Yeah.
So at this point, after you do this, you've made your first couple $1,000s, and it's fun too. I feel like you learn a lot, at least business-wise, doing this as well, mindset-wise at least. We got into private labeling, and what that is in its most basic form, you're buying in bulk and throwing your brand on it. It's just like these regular products that you could find almost anywhere, but you just stick your label on it. and try to build a brand around it. Now, what we did is we put it into Amazon fulfillment centers and we sold on Amazon. We built 6-figure businesses doing this. It was awesome. I felt like I was on top of the world when I was doing this. And then the problem I had, and Ryan had the same, was that first you have to fork over a lot of money to buy inventory. Then you start selling them. You make a profit, but now you have to turn around and put that profit back into the business to buy more inventory because you're trying to scale, or you're trying to put out a new product. So you need to fork another large sum of cash over there. So I was growing my business and I'd be doing more sales, but what I found was that I wasn't able to take money out. It just kept going back into the business. The business was growing, but I had more and more risk with inventory. And eventually I got stuck with a couple thousand units for one reason or another. And they're selling, it's just that they're selling much slower now. So I have this inventory just sitting. And now Ryan and I talked about this problem and we had heard about drop shipping before, but we didn't do our research on it.
No, I didn't know anything about it really.
Yeah. And then we decided, all right, let's see what happens. Let's really give this drop shipping thing a go. And within,
I mean, first we started about this. We really started just talking about the problem of holding inventory and how it can be solved. And over time, we did more research on drop shipping and realized that was a solution to this problem that we were having.
Yeah.
So
we decided to get into drop shipping. Now, what drop shipping is, so to kind of give the basic form of drop shipping, I know some of you know what drop shipping is, but just kind of give a basic overview of those that are not super into drop shipping or e-commerce. Drop shipping from the customer or from the company's point of view. So let's take it from the company's point of view. We have our own stores. We have several different stores, but say we have our store, right? It's our landing page. And then we Facebook advertise. We recommend social media advertising. You can do SEO and there's other, affiliate marketing advertising. There's a lot of ways to collect leads, but we recommend Facebook advertising. It's scalable and it's easy after you kind of get you got to get kind of a hand into it. You definitely have to have some help. But once you start Facebook advertising, you have your landing page, right? And you as the company are going to make this content that you hope is viral content and send it to your target customers on Facebook. They then get the ad delivered to them. They order it to you. So let's say they order a nice pen, right? And they order the pen for $20. And you get the order that comes through on your Shopify store. We recommend Shopify for your website. And you then have a supplier that's hooked up through your self-fulfillment software that we have hooked up to our store. And say we pay $10 for the cost of goods sold of that same pen. We're then taking a $10 profit and we can utilize that towards, ad cost or whatever it may be. And then it's easy to scale up from there with high volume. Yeah. So just from a customer's point of view, it's just like buying from a normal website, and it is a normal website. From the customer's point of view, you're just scrolling on your Facebook feed or you're on Instagram or Pinterest, whatever it is. Maybe you're searching on Google. You find one of our ads, you click it. You're like, oh, this is a super cool pen, like he was saying. I want one. It's like an impulse buy. They click the link. They're on your website, add to cart, check out. They get a confirmation email, and then they get their product. If they have questions, they contact your customer support. From their end, it's a regular website. Mm-hmm. And then, like Ryan was saying, from our end, it's simply we advertise, you buy from us. Once you buy from us, we turn around, take your money, give it to our supplier. We use AliExpress for most of our products. And then as you go through, you build relationships and you get to do some special things. But we use AliExpress, and then we give them the shipment details and they just ship it out for us. So we get to do all this from our computers. And this is where we're excelling right now. We both have 7-figure businesses drop shipping. And it's just been kind of crazy.
And this is how we made our money. Those things we're talking about, garage selling, like do all that stuff, selling on eBay. That's how we had the money to start these businesses. You can start these businesses in drop shipping though with just a few $100. but we were able to start them and really run them on our own. I mean, we're in college, we take a full course load and we ran our own 7-figure businesses. And now we have we each have teams of people like doing this stuff for us, fulfilling orders, customer service, all that stuff. But we both ran a one-man show.
Yeah.
We both did.
No,
we were doing crazy numbers.
Now back to, just to compare this with private labeling, the coolest thing in my opinion about drop shipping is the scalability of it. We're honestly just middlemen. We're marketers and middlemen in this business. And if you want to build a longer term brand, you might want to bring in and start branding some products. But in terms of pure just cash, right? On my best day ever, I did $68,000 in sales and I brought in $27,000 in profit. 2 years ago, I was doing garage sales and I was excited about $20.
That was one product, by the way, on the $68,000. That was one product.
The day before that, I did $13,000 in sales. The day before that, I did $3,000 in sales. Okay, so it's incredibly scalable, and that is what is so exciting about drop shipping, in my opinion. I don't have to worry about the inventory problems at all. And now to get into all the details of drop shipping would take a long time, and we would just end up confusing you guys. But that is what we teach. We have students. We actually brought some of our friends aboard, and they brought some of their friends. And
that's what we did for a while. We had clients, and we were getting people on Facebook and all this stuff. And there were people that we took equity from and took an interest in their company and invested in some of them and took a percentage. We had a few buyouts here and there. I mean, we've gone through it, and eventually we kept talking about it. And we're like, we got to give this to more people, and let's make some videos and put together something so that people can, access this stuff.
Yeah. So we have for those of you who are interested, we actually have a course that we created for these people, for essentially our friends, outlining everything so that we didn't have to meet with them one-on-one anymore to teach them how to do this stuff. Right. So we were able to just give them these videos and have them go on their own and build their own businesses. And then we would take equity. But now we're doing something a little bit different. Although we're keeping the videos, we updated some of them.
So now that you do have the time and, or now that you do have if you do have the investment to put into that, that's something we definitely suggest, because it outlines all of our mistakes we made, as well as, the money that we put in, takes all that stuff out and gives you the meat and the bones of what you need to build, your successful, store. But the number one thing we want out of this, though, is those people that want to get started, make your first few dollars in e-commerce, go to your first garage sale, go on your local Craigslist or go to a thrift store and buy your first thing, flip it. That's exactly the number one thing we want from this, for sure.
Exactly. The most important thing is just get out there and start doing stuff. For those of you with money set aside, ready to take a shortcut and really dive into it, we do have the course as an option. We also have a free Facebook group that you guys can join if,
a lot of great content on there. Definitely join that. It's free. There's no reason not to join it. It's an awesome tool as well.
But yeah, Trevor, do you
do you guys have any questions?
Yeah, 100%. So a lot of times people hear about biz ops, and it is like the most rosy of colored stories, and people get this idea that if I execute A through F, then I'll make $100,000. What were some of the issues that you guys have ran into that undoubtedly other people will run into?
In terms of garage selling, or in terms of
all of the above? All of the above.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll start. Garage selling, there's, you may just buy something for $2, $5, and it may be broken, whatever. There's not too much risk in it. And if you're starting with a low budget like that, you will run into some mistakes, but you just need to be extra careful with it. I forgot the sell what you know, advice that is set out there. I bought a car for $600 off Craigslist, and it drove, but I drove it home, and I got about a mile towards my house, and it broke down. So I would say sell what you know. Make sure that you know what you're selling, and that was a disaster, because That's really important. I've gone through a few of those things where I've made mistakes like that. So I'd say that's one thing for me.
Yeah. So I would say throughout everything, right? So even starting with garage sales through what I do now, I've been always a kind of a messy person. So when I first started with garage sales, I didn't really keep track of numbers, and I brought that through with my drop shipping. Even I was really bad with my numbers, and it hurts because you don't know, you know you're making money, but until you take a good look at your numbers, you don't know exactly what's happening with your business. So a huge mindset shift for me was when I realized that to have a fully legitimate business, you really need to look at your numbers, know exactly what's going on. It's not enough to know that you're profitable and to have rough, fuzzy math numbers. To actually know what's going in and out of your business every day is super important, and can lead to problems if you don't do it.
Like what kind of problems? What did you run into?
So for example, PayPal and Stripe put holds on money that would come in through my drop shipping business. I was doing a lot of volume. So I heard that it's just they do this with everybody doing volume. Not sure if that's true or not. But anyway, they did it. And so I would be doing maybe 20% profit margin off of my regular sales, I guess, coming through. But they would take 15%. I had no idea what was going, or I take it back. PayPal actually did 25% for a little and then switched to 15. But I had no idea where money was going in through PayPal, what was coming in through Stripe. I had no idea how much money would be coming back into my bank account and in what time frame. So it made it difficult cash flow wise to scale sometimes because my money would be stuck in PayPal and Stripe for such long periods. And there is a period where they had over $100,000 collectively, and I had money elsewhere. And when they start holding money, it just makes things, and it just starts to make things difficult. It's hard to explain, but just imagine that they take a large percentage of your cash flow, and if you're not keeping track of it, you'll wonder where some of that money went. And so that was the biggest thing with me, is just not knowing where my money went.
I do have one more thing that in regards to e-commerce, like drop shipping wise, because I know that when it comes to dealing with suppliers overseas, this is going to be something you'll definitely come across. And I'm guessing a lot of the people in eComCon will go into this business if they're not into it already. The communication is difficult. You got to have those strategic partnerships. I know, Trevor, you do an incredible job of that. You have some great people that have some great partnerships over there. And Tyler and I, we just got into this, a year ago, and we're doing the best we can, but we don't necessarily have the strategic partnerships overseas yet. And we're working on that. But when you work with a supplier, it's the language barrier. It's, all these different things. You're just depending on them so much. I paid a supplier $50,000 over PayPal to fulfill a bunch of orders for me, and he did a fine job, but he shipped them 3 weeks later than what he was supposed to. So that language barrier and the understanding of having that strategic partnership is another thing that can be an issue. Yeah, and another thing is you really want to keep track of. I didn't start doing this until recently, actually, but keep track of your returns, and because that can be a silent killer if you're not paying attention to your returns. So that's just another thing that you just got to keep on track of. Basically, just know your numbers. I think it's super important. It's just kind of come to me recently. And when you're drop shipping, it gets returned to China. So yeah, if it's not through PayPal, so you can lose track of that quickly. I don't know if that was clear or not, Trevor, but what do you think?
Yeah, no, that was excellent, guys. Okay. So how can people get a hold of you? What was that free Facebook group? What's the URL for that?
So it's the actual group it's a page, it's a community, but then there's a group within that. So as good as we are with Facebook, the actual operation of it is kind of iffy. It's Melnick and Martin Roundtable Group. Ecom Roundtable Group. Melnick and Martin Ecom Roundtable Group is the group name.
Okay, we'll find that and we'll link to that below. That way,
yes, that would be perfect. That would be perfect to me, and just put it in the comment section, right?
And then we have free content as well. And then also we have a discount for our videos in our course for EcomCon.
Yeah.
We're giving $300 off our course as well, so we can get people in and get started.
Awesome. Okay, so we're going to link to that below. What we're going to do is we're going to attempt to have a live Q&A session right after this. So the team will get a hold of you and let you know the date that happens. But for those of you watching, that will be right after this. So prepare your questions. And Ryan and Tyler will have their answers ready over Facebook Live. So they'll come in live and we'll answer them.
Perfect.
Guys, thanks so much. Appreciate the time. Appreciate the knowledge and the wisdom. I wish if I could go back 12 years to when I was, in the spot that you guys were, I wish I would have jumped into the online space. I can see how it benefited me being in brick and mortar, but man, the head start that you get starting now, whenever now is for you, is insane.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I don't know about you, but in 12 years from now, I'd be happy to be in your position.
Same.
I would like that. So.
Awesome, guys. Thanks. Appreciate it. We're going to jump off then, and we'll transfer over to the live Q&A.
Awesome.
Thanks, Trevor.
See you guys.